How to text a Gemini woman. When you want to impress a Gemini, you need to know what to text a woman born under this chatty and expressive sign. Texting is a great way to make a connection with a Gemini woman because this zodiac sign is highly focused on communication. You need to be a little mysterious, yet consistent when texting a Gemini woman. Keep the overall tone of your messages flirty and light, and mentally stimulate her with clever humor and puzzles. How to flirt with a Gemini woman over text.
You have to learn how to send a flirty text to a Gemini woman if you want to keep her interest.
The significance of texting a Gemini can be explained by this zodiac sign's ruling planets. Every sign of the zodiac has a ruling planet that tells us something important about that sign's personality and values. Mercury, the planet of communication, curiosity, and information, is Gemini's guiding planet. The influence of Mercury makes Gemini perhaps the most talkative sign of the entire zodiac. A Gemini woman usually seeks a career in communication, such as marketing, public relations, and sales. She is a talented speaker and writer, so it makes sense that texting is the perfect way to flirt with your Gemini lady. You should flirt with a Gemini woman over text by showing her your sense of humor. Gemini is a fun and playful sign, so she would rather stick to lighter subjects over text than dive into deeper topics, which are better discussed in person.
Send her hilarious videos and memes you find online that you think will make her smile, or send her silly photos you take with witty captions.
Geminis have a spirited, clever sense of humor, so avoid dark, sarcastic jokes. You should also use texting as a way to initiate a discussion and get to know her better. Ask her how her day is going, how she feels, what her favorite songs are, what kinds of movies she likes, and what her passions and hobbies are. And, of course, you should use flirty texts to ask your Gemini woman out on a date, or at least gauge her interest in you. Invite her to go with you to see a museum exhibit or interesting film you think she would enjoy, and she won't be able to refuse. If you really want to know how to text a Gemini woman, then you should smash that like button. How to seduce a Gemini woman over text. When you flirt, you are just trying to get to know her, make her feel special, and show your romantic interest in her. When you're flirting, you aren't overtly sexual or aggressive, but you acknowledge an attraction. Seduction is more direct than suggestive and tells your Gemini lady that you are interested in her sexually. If you're trying to seduce a Gemini woman through text messages, you need to strike the balance between playing hard to get and being consistent. You don't have to text a Gemini woman back as soon as she sends you a message, but you shouldn't blow her off completely or wait for hours or days in between texts either. It's good to make her a little curious about what's keeping you so busy, but she needs to know that you like her. Some signs prefer a more passive, meek partner, but there is no need to hold back or be subtle when you want to seduce a Gemini woman. She likes a man who chases her and makes her the center of his attention, but still has a life of his own and is busy with other things besides pursuing her. Send her cute photos of yourself with funny or sexy captions. Take a picture of yourself in bed with your shirt off and tell her that you're ready for her to come over, or that you're wearing her favorite scent and nothing else. You're more likely to get a sexy photo back from your Gemini woman if you send one first. If you're not comfortable sending a flirty photo, try sending her dirty jokes. She is attracted to a man with a good sense of humor and will be impressed that you can turn her on while making her laugh. Some signs are embarrassed by dirty talk, but not a Gemini. As a highly communicative sign, Gemini women usually love dirty talk, even over text. You can seduce her through text messages by telling her, in as much detail as you'd like, what you want to do to her when you see her in person. Things to text a Gemini woman. Some signs dislike texting and hardly ever check their phones for new messages, but Gemini is not one of these signs. Geminis are social butterflies, so they are usually glued to their phones. If your Gemini lady isn't surrounded by other people, you can bet she's on her phone, scrolling through texts, emails, and social media. Although they tend to prefer face-to-face interaction or a phone conversation, Geminis also love to communicate through text messages. You could text your Gemini woman anything to start talking. but make sure you capture her interest instead of relying on her to carry the conversation. Don't send her questions that are easily answered with just a simple yes or no. Instead of just asking her to grab a drink with you, ask her what her favorite bar is and why. After texting back and forth about the pros and cons of different bars and drinks, ask her if you can take her to her favorite spot to prove to you how good it is. This type of text conversation lets her get to know you better before spending more time with you in person.
It also feeds her craving for attention and conversation while making you stand out in her mind.
Why a Gemini woman didn't text back. When certain zodiac signs don't respond to your texts, it's a warning that they are angry or have lost interest in you. But when it comes to a Gemini woman, there are dozens of reasons why she might not be texting you back, and disliking you is at the bottom of the list. Don't panic when your Gemini lady doesn't reply immediately, or even at all, because there is probably a good explanation that has nothing to do with you. The most likely reason why a Gemini woman isn't responding to your text is that she is busy socializing. Although she's usually glued to her phone when she's by herself, she probably prefers talking on the phone or seeing people face to face. As social as they are, Geminis are conscientious about not playing on their phones while they are with other people. When she takes a long time to respond, she's probably hanging out with her friends or chatting on the phone. Geminis have a lot of energy, but they tend to overcommit and exhaust themselves. They are very active and like having a schedule packed full with social outings, work, hobbies, and other projects. A Gemini woman must learn to say no and not to overextend herself. She can't be everywhere at once, as much as she'd like to, and time management is something she usually struggles with. When your Gemini lady doesn't reply to your text, she is likely just busy with work, concentrating on a hobby, or too preoccupied with something else to respond.
Although she loves to talk, your Gemini might not be responding because she prefers another method of communication. Perhaps she intends to call you later instead of texting you back, or maybe she checks her social media more often than her text messages.
She is surely communicating regularly on some platform, so find out her preferred means of communication and contact her that way. Even when a Gemini woman stops being interested in you or actively dislikes you, she will probably tell you directly rather than stop communicating. This sign lacks a filter and is never afraid to tell people what they think, so if your Gemini lady doesn't want to see you anymore, she'll probably let you know instead of leaving you guessing. Summary: Gemini is one of the most communicative signs of the zodiac, so knowing how to text her is a significant part of developing and maintaining a relationship with a Gemini woman. If you want to attract a Gemini woman through text messages, you have to be consistent yet mysterious.
Text her frequently but play a little hard to get.
Keep the tone of your messages light and fluffy instead of dark and serious, and send her plenty of jokes and funny memes and videos you find online. Text her lots of thought-provoking questions to show off your intelligence and wit, and your Gemini woman will be yours forever. If you want to win the heart of a Gemini woman through text, then like and subscribe.